Well, hello and welcome to our reading of Thucydides, Book 4, the selections relating to the story in Pylos and Sphacteria. We're up to chapter 9, and this is where Demosthenes makes preparations for the Spartan attack. So Demosthenes, Horon, seeing the Lacedaemonians, the Spartans, and then we have participle, seeing them being about to attack. Now melo normally takes a future infinitive, but here it's just a present infinitive. So being about to attack, tekai, both by ships and at the same time by land, that is by foot soldier. He himself also, this is Demosthenes of course, paraskuazetai, which is the imperfect. So he began himself also to make preparations. Now we get a participle anasparthas, having drawn up the triremes, which peri-esan, well, the peri-ame can mean to survive, to exist, so perhaps which just were, so which he had, literally which existed for him. So having drawn up the triremes which he had from those that had been left behind. And you'll remember that the other Athenian generals had gone on to Corcyra, taking many of the ships with them, so he's only using those that are left behind. The next little section, the verb here is rather difficult. It's obscure and of debated meaning. The sense of it is something like linked them to the fort with a palisade. So this stauros is this idea of building a palisade in front, and the hupot to tekisma is something like under the cover of the fort. So we'll translate it as he drew up under the cover of the fort and linked the triremes with a palisade. And the sailors from them, that is from these ships, and our main verb here is hopelesen, so he armed the sailors from these ships with shields, some sort of defensive weapons here. Phaulis means that they weren't particularly good quality, so with poor quality shields, and most of them made from wicker, most of them made of wicker work. Uga ein hopla, for it was not possible, porisasthai, middle from porisdo, it was not possible to provide for themselves, to get the sense of the middle here, hopla, weapons, in this desolate place. Alakai, but they took elebon, but they took out of these things from the 30-oared pirate vessel of the Messenians, and from a cutter, this is a small ship, which chanced being present, so which had come there by chance. And the hoplites of the Messenians, of these Messenians, were about 40. So the Messenians had about 40 hoplites, which he used. This is from Kramai, and it takes a dative, which is why we have the hoist here. So whose services he used along with the others. Now in the next sentence, the main verb is etaxe. So he posted, he arranged the many of those who were unarmed and those who were armed. So he did that along the parts that were walled up, so along the fortifications, and especially the secure parts, the ekura, the secure parts of the land in the direction of the mainland. Proapone, giving orders to ward off, so to fight off Amunastai middle, to fight off the land force top heads on if they should attack. But he himself, having chosen, this is from that leg root, not the speaking but the choosing root, he himself, having chosen from them 60 hoplites and a few archers, he advanced outside of the wall in the direction of the sea. So he went out from the wall to the sea, to the point where, most of all, he was expecting out Ekanus them, that's the enemy, and we get, after verb of expecting here, we get a future infinitive from Peirasdo. So he was expecting them most of all to be about to make an attempt at landing into a land, and we get a menende, which was difficult and rocky. Turned tetramena, having been turned towards the sea, so facing the sea. And the next section's a little bit difficult. We get rid of the square brackets here, I think, in the more modern editions, and instead of epi spases thigh, we're going to read the alternate reading here, which I think is in most modern editions, which is esbi asastai, which is going to mean something like to force an entrance. So let me come back to here again. So we get a genitive absolute here. So to tekos ontos. So the wall. So since the wall was weakest for them, that is for the Athenians, taute at that place, he expected, or he thought, that they would be keen, they would be eager to force a landing, reading this other verb here, is biasasthai, to force a landing. So, so putting that together a bit, so it was difficult and rocky terrain facing the sea, but he thought they would be eager to force a landing at the spot where the wall was the weakest. Now we get utega autoi elpisdontes, and we need to go here to get the main verb here. So they did not fortify this, well, this strongly. They did not fortify it strongly. They themselves expecting, that's the elpizontes, expecting, or in fact expecting that they would not be defeated by ship. So they didn't fortify this part strongly, believing that they would never be defeated with by ship. And this is dative here, for them, that is the Spartans, forcing a landing, so biasdamai with the apobasis. So if they did force a landing, the place would be Halosimon, easily captured. At this point, therefore, he posted or set up the hoplites in the direction of that same sea, hose with a future participle from ergo, so that they might keep them away, so that they might repel them if they could. And he encouraged them in the following way, tade. the toiade with such things, with such words. And then after this we have the speech in section 10, which we're going to skip over, and in the next video we'll be looking at the next chapter 11.